Hello guys, so we are going to dive right in to the first module that we had agreed we would start with. Yeah, that is computer essentials, and I'm going to make it if it goes for too long it will be 20 minutes. I don't want a video that is longer than that, because scientifically it has been proven that an average adult can only concentrate for up to 20 minutes. Yeah, so I want to take that time so that I don't have you sleeping while watching these videos. So we will dive right in. So computer essential is the first module that you are supposed to start with when you're taking ICDL. Yeah. So basically, it's supposed. Okay, let me just open the presentation so that we see what we are talking about. Right, so slideshow from beginning. So like I was saying, computer essential is the first module that we take or that we go through whenever we are starting ICDL. It is the module that is supposed to introduce you to computers. Yeah, not just computers. It's the module that's supposed to introduce you to computers, ICT, and a little bit of the software that we have in our computers, a little bit of the software that we can use and software that runs the computer. Yeah, so basically, as you can see on your screens, computer essential is just a module. It's a module actually that introduces you to the world of computers, ICT, and software. So it introduces you to computers, ICT, and software, thereby allowing you to start your journey into using computers and basically digital devices, either for work or for leisure. So it gives you the basic, let me call, components of the computer. It explains ICT, defines what ICT has enable us do, and also it will explain a bunch of softwares that we can use on our computers to do various things. And majorly we're going to be talking about the operating system, which is a software that runs the computer. You'll understand it better when you get to that. And digital devices that we use with computers, yeah, or that function like the computer. So computer essential is just a module that is supposed to introduce you to the world of computer, ICT, and software. So that is the first thing that you're supposed to know. What is computer essential as a module, yeah, which I've already explained, and as you can see on your screen. So we had also agreed that I'll be sharing the PDF over the group, so that you can also have a PDF format of the lesson, so that you can watch the videos and also follow through the videos using your PDF file. So that was the first thing, the introduction of computer essential. So the next thing that I wanted us to look at is the module outline. So basically the module outline is like what do you call it, a table of content. Yeah, it's supposed to show us the things that we are going to be doing or the areas that we're going to be covering through the module. Yeah, it's not exactly a table of content. Let me just call it an outline. So it basically outlines all the lessons or all the topics that we're going to be handling over the lesson or the module. Yeah, and the first lesson that we're going to work with is computers and devices. So this is the first lesson that we have in the module computer essential. So computers, we're going to be doing computers and devices as lesson 1. Lesson 2 is going to be desktop icons and settings, where we're going to be learning the desktop and icons that we have on our computers, and how we can apply some basic settings on our computer. When I talk about basic settings, I talk about things like how to change the desktop background, how to adjust the speaker's volume, how to change a user account name, how to do various settings on the computer. We will see them when we get there. Lesson 3, we'll also be talking about outputs. We'll also be talking about file management. We'll also be talking about networks and security and well-being, whereby when it comes to security and well-being, we'll be seeing how we can best secure our computers, or how we can ensure that our computers are secured, both in terms of software and in terms of physical security. Yeah, so basically that is just a wrap up of the outline that we're going to be using, and the lessons that we're going to be learning all through the module. So we are going to start from the first lesson, which is computer and devices. And basically, under computer and devices, we are going to be talking about the computer itself, and then we'll be talking about some of the devices that we can use with the computer. But before we get there, I had said that Computer Essential as a module is also supposed to introduce you to ICT, yeah, ICT. So that's where we are supposed to start with, which is topic 1.1 of lesson 1, ICT. But you've heard of this term many times, ICT. You've maybe heard a person saying that I want to do ICT. It's a branch of ICT. What does ICT stand for? Or when that person says or talks about ICT, what does that person mean? So we'll start from the ICT itself, the word ICT. It's not a word, it's an acronym. So an acronym is a short form. What does it stand for? So the term ICT, like you can see on your screen, stands for Information Communication Technology. However, it's an acronym for Information Communication Technology. So ICT itself is a general term for describing the use of digital technology to either access, store, and process information into organized and understandable form. To wrap it up, basically it describes any form of digital technology that can accept data, yeah, can process that data, it can store that data, and or process it to give you information, yeah. Data in its raw data is facts, figures, numbers, yeah. When we process data, we get what we call information, yeah. So any device that is able to accept data, that is able to store that data, is able to process data, can be termed as part of an ICT system. So as you can see on the last line, we are saying that any device capable of creating, storing, or using digital information can be considered as part of an ICT system. Naelewana? So ICT is a general term, which is an acronym. It's an acronym standing for Information Communication Technology. So Information Communication Technology is a term used for describing digital technologies, yeah, that are used to access, store, process information into organized and understandable format, yeah. Types of ICT services and uses of ICT. So ICT has enabled us to do a lot of things. There are many things that that were very difficult to do back then, before the introduction of ICT, that are simple to do nowadays because of ICT. So when we talk about ICT services, we're basically talking about these services that are being offered because of ICT, or services that have been made possible because of ICT, yeah. So the first service that we can talk about is the internet service, as you can see on your screen, the internet service. Now, the fact that you are watching this video, okay, you are able to watch this video because of internet, yeah. You've logged into YouTube to access the video, but for you to log into YouTube, you must have internet, yeah. Now, for you to be able to have internet, you must go through the internet service providers, yeah. So because of ICT, internet service providers are able to provide internet services to us to ensure that we access some of the or all of these services that are accessible over the internet. For example, these services can include online banking, yeah. Nowadays you figure that we don't have to go to the bank to be able to make deposits for cash or to withdraw money, yeah. We can do that online as long as you have your laptop, as long as you have your tablets, as long as you have your phones, yeah. We have online shopping as part of the services offered because of internet. You don't have to go to the shop physically for you to be able to get a commodity. You can order online and the commodity is brought to you, yeah. And the last service that we have given as an example is learning, like what we are doing right now. You are not in school because you are supposed to stay safe. You're at home. The coronavirus has made you stay at home, yeah, but you are still learning. Why? Because of the internet, yeah, because of ICT. If it wasn't for ICT, I don't know what we'll be doing right now. Actually, I think I'd be dead because of boredom. Yeah. So but because of ICT, we have these services offered to us, so it has made some of the services very simple. Number two, because of ICT, we got to what we call the mobile technology. Mobile technology comprises of things like the smartphone that you're using to log into YouTube, or the tablet that you're using to watch this video, or the laptop that I'm using to create this video. That is because of ICT. So ICT brought in mobile technology. Mobile technology allowed us to create those devices: smartphones, tablets, computers, desktops, things of that sort. And lastly, as number three, we have the office productivity applications. So because of ICT, we were able, or office productivity applications were created. So office productivity applications are just applications that make work more efficient or easier in offices. So it doesn't have to be in the office, you can use it from home. Things like the word processors, you are able to write letters without having to use the pen and paper. You can type the letter on your computer, print it out, and have it delivered to whoever you want to deliver your letter to. You don't have to make calculations using pen and paper. You have your calculators on your smartphones. You can do that on the smartphones. You don't have to also organize maybe data on pen and paper. You don't have to have record books or record sheets. We can store records using office productivity applications like Access, which Access is a database application that allows us to store important information that we would need later. You don't have to know a lot of maths to do analysis nowadays. We have things like Excel that can give us pie charts, that can analyze information in form of diagrams. You can do all that. So ICT has enabled us to do things like that because of office productivity applications that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for ICT. So topic 1.2 talks about computer hardware. Now, computer hardware is comprises of all the tangible parts of our computer. So everything you can see and touch on your computer falls under the computer hardware. So the main types of computer hardware that we have on the computer, we are going to talk about those four major parts, and then there are other parts that the computer has, but we are just going to be discussing the major parts of the computer. Number one, we have the system unit. Number two, we have the monitor, which is the screen of your computer. We have the keyboard, which is which is the main input device for your computers. Then we have the mouse, which is the main pointing device, let me call it, for your computer. So those are the four major parts that we're going to be talking about, and I don't want to assume that you all know what the system unit is. I don't want to assume that you all know what the monitor is. I don't want to assume that everyone knows what the keyboard and the mouse is. That's why I have that image right there. Now this image gives you a clear presentation of what a monitor is. As you can see, the monitor has been labeled the monitor, which is the screen of your computer. We have the mouse also, which is a device used to navigate through the computer. We have the keyboard, which is the main input device. So whatever you want to type into the computer, you're going to be using the keyboard. We also have now I have this problem with people. As you can see, where the label is CPU, I should have made that correction. Sorry for that. It's not the CPU. The CPU is actually a chip. Now, that whole device, as it has been shown, is a system unit. It's a system unit. The CPU is a chip that is mounted on the motherboard that is inside the system unit. So where there is the CPU, know that is supposed to be the system unit. So we have the monitor, the system unit, then the speaker, as it has been labeled there, that is an external device we'll be talking about, so don't put that into a lot of consideration. We have the monitor, the CPU, we have the keyboard at the bottom, we have the mouse, and then what else can we talk about? So we said that there are only 4 major parts, yeah: the monitor, the CPU, the system unit, that is the keyboard, and the mouse. So all the others that you can see, the microphone, the speaker, and the printer, those are external devices that we can attach to our computers, yeah. But computers or desktops come with their inbuilt speakers. They come like laptops come with their inbuilt microphones. So for desktops, we have inbuilt speakers, but for microphones on the desktops, we'll have to attach an external microphone. So you don't have to put the external devices into consideration. You're supposed to know that the major parts of the computer is the monitor, the system unit, the keyboard, and the mouse, yeah. That makes up the major parts of the computer. Now, examples of ICT devices. So we had already explained what ICT is, yeah. We had already said that ICT basically categorizes all digital devices that are able to accept, store, and process data, yeah. So the first example of a device that we are calling ICT devices are the desktops, like what I'm using right now. Let me just give you an image. Now, before I give you the image of the desktop, which I don't want to assume that everybody has seen, that's why I have the image for that. A desktop is just a computer that has been designed to stay on one single location. So if you have a laptop, the desktop will basically do what the laptop can do, but the difference between the two is that the desktop won't be portable. You can't move around with it, yeah. Okay, you can move it from point A to point B if it is in a short distance, yeah. If you want to relocate it from maybe your bedroom to your sitting room, that is possible, but you can't carry your desktop from home maybe to your office every day, yeah. It's not possible. Why? Because they have been designed to stay in one single location, so it has not been created to suit portability. So you can see that is the image of the desktop. We have the system unit, we have the screen or the monitor, and then we have the keyboard and the mouse, yeah. So they have been created for the purposes of staying in one single location. So you can do everything that you want to do. You can type letters, you can use other softwares over the computer, but you cannot move around with the computer that easily. So that's why we have the laptops. So the laptops can also do what the desktop can do, but the only difference is that, okay, there are two differences between the desktop and the laptop that I can talk about. The first difference is that the laptop can do whatever the desktop can do, but it doesn't have to be plugged into the power source for it to be able to run, yeah. It has its own battery that can power it, as well as it can also be powered using the power sources. If you have a switch and a socket, you can power your laptop, but in case maybe the power goes off, the laptop can remain running. That is not the same case when it comes to the desktop. So that is the first difference. The second difference is that laptops are portable, yeah. They have been designed for portability. You can move with the laptop from one point to another, like you can be moving with it from home to your office, from home to work on a daily basis without any problem. So they are flexible. Tunaelewana? Yeah, so I'll have the image of the laptop. So that is how a laptop looks like. Smaller than the desktop, and it can do whatever the desktop can do. The third device that we are going to talk about is the tablets. So the tablet is a portable computer also, just like the laptop, but the difference between the tablet and the laptop is that as you can see, we had the let me take you to the image of the laptop. So in the laptop, as you can see, we have a keyboard inbuilt. We have a keyboard inbuilt on the laptop, which we can use to input data. And then their laptops also have touchpads somewhere here, yeah. You can either use a mouse or you can use the touchpads for navigating through the computer or the laptop. But in the case of touchpads, in the case of tablets, that is, the tablets use a touchscreen as their main source of input. So we have a keyboard, but for you to be able to type, you have to touch the screen. Yeah, so it uses the touchscreen as its main source of input. Unlike the desktop that can use the keyboard as an input, it can also use the mouse as an input. The tablet relies on the touchscreen as its main source of input. So it's a portable computer that uses a touchscreen as its main source of input. So we are saying that most tablets are small and weigh less than the average laptop. So it's also easy to carry around. You can use it to do anything that you can maybe want to use the laptop for. So it can replace the laptop. Yeah, it can do exactly what the laptop can do. The only difference is that the laptop has an inbuilt keyboard that it can rely as a source of input. It has a mouse that it can rely on as a source of input, but the tablet only has the touchscreen to rely on as a source of input. So there goes the tablet, as you can see. Yeah, the tablet, we have it there. We have this beautiful lady holding one in his hand, in her hand, that is. Then we have the smartphones. Now this one is maybe if you had a person who had never seen the tablet, this is where they can shine now, because I don't think there's anybody who has no smartphone. Yeah, if you have no smartphone, you've seen one. So it is a mobile phone offering advanced computer-like features. Not every feature that the computer can, not everything that the computer can do can be done by the smartphone, but almost all the features or almost all the things that can be done by the computer, the smartphone can do. Yeah. So we are saying that the capabilities and standards of the phones vary from one manufacturer to another. There are things that you can do on an iPhone that you can do on a smartphone. Yeah, there are things that maybe Infinix can do and Samsung cannot do. Is that really right? I don't know. Anyway, the differences vary with the manufacturers. The one I know that is that you will find one that is strong when it comes to a certain feature than another, and another strong in one feature than the other. I don't know if you understand me. Yeah. So basically what I mean is, like, for example, we can have an Oppo phone that takes better camera than an Infinix phone. Yeah, better photos than an Infinix phone. I hope you understand what I mean. Yeah. So depending on the manufacturers, standards can vary. Yeah. So smartphones have what I've listed there. So a smartphone has an operating system. So we can have a smartphone that runs on Android. We can have a smartphone that runs on okay, most of the smartphones run on Android. Android is an operating system. An operating system is basically the software that allows a computer device to run. Yeah. So the computer device cannot run without an operating system. Yeah. So just like the name suggests, it's a software that allows this, the device to operate. Yeah. Number two, we have apps. So on the smartphones, we can have apps. The apps can be of different use. We can have apps to browse the website. We can have apps to send emails. We can have apps to write text. We can have apps to communicate, like WhatsApp, and many other apps. We have contact managers, apps to manage our contacts. So we have very many apps that we can find over our smartphones. So part of the things that we can find, or part of the things that we can find on the smartphone, is the apps that we can use to browse the webs. Number three, we have a personal contact management organizer on smartphones. I've already talked about that. Yeah. So we have the contact manager applications also on WhatsApp. Yeah, that allow us to manage our contacts. Not on WhatsApp, on smartphones, that allow us to manage our contacts. So number four is the global positioning system feature that we can find on smartphone, the GPS. So it's basically a global locator. It can tell you wherever you are, wherever you want to go. Yeah. So we find that also on smartphones. I don't think there is a smartphone that doesn't have a GPS. Yeah, a GPS feature. Yeah, I know that. I think all smartphones have a GPS feature. Number five, we have the document readers and viewers. So these allow us to read documents and view documents. Like we have the PDF reader that can allow us to read PDF documents. We have the word reader that allows us to read Word documents. and view them. Yeah, so those are some of the applications that we can or some of the things that we can find on smartphones. Number one, we have the operating system. Number two, we have the apps. Number three, we have the contact managers. We have the GPS features, and then the document readers and viewers. Topic 1.2, computer hardware. So that is the image of okay, we're still in topic 1.2. That is the image of the smartphone that we talked about. I don't think there's anybody who has not seen a smartphone. If you've not seen a smartphone, that is one of them. I think I have one here. This is a smartphone also, my old same smartphone. That's what it's supposed to do. So 1.2 talks about media players. Oh, we're still on lesson 1.2. Keeps on confusing me. Sorry for that. So the other device that we have to talk about is the media player. So media players are basically devices that allow you to store digital music and videos for maybe viewing and listening to on a later time. Yeah. So a notable example of a media player is the iPod from Apple, which allows you to store your digital music and you can later listen to at your convenient time. Yeah, so an example, an image of the iPod is given to you as such. As you can see, that person is holding the iPod, and if you look closely, I think we have the next button, we have the play and pause. Yeah, we have the menu on the iPod. So basically, an iPod is just a device that is able to digitally store your music so that you can listen to at a later point of time, yeah, or whenever you want to listen to your music or your audio. We also have the digital cameras as ICT devices. Now, the digital cameras are a little more or less like the same traditional cameras that we had, that are used the film to store images. Yeah, so we used to call, I think you call the films negatives. Yeah, yeah, but the traditional cameras used to use the film to store images. Yeah, but the difference of the traditional cameras with the digital cameras is that the digital cameras don't store their images on the rolls or films. Yeah, instead they store the images on memory cards. Yeah, that are installed inside them. Yeah, so you take a picture, you don't have to have a film for him to be able to store the image, but once you've taken the picture, the image is stored on the memory card, which you can produce also if you want a hard copy of whatever you've just shot. So that is the difference between the digital camera and traditional cameras. That traditional cameras used the rolls of film to store images, but digital cameras have storage devices in form of memory cards. Yeah, so that is an image of the Olympus digital camera. Yeah, some of you are photographers. I think Samir is a photographer, if not a photo editor. Yeah, so you've seen this before. For those who have not seen it before, it is the Olympus a digital camera that is used for taking pictures. Let me not look as if I'm making an advertisement for Olympus. Yeah, so let me scroll to the next one. So we have so the processor is not a digital device. Yeah, we are done talking about the digital devices. So we've talked about the desktop, we've talked about the laptops, we've talked about the tablets. Yeah, we've talked about the smartphones, we've talked about the iPads, the iPods or the media players, and then we've talked about the digital cameras. Those are ICT devices. Yeah, this one is a different topic that we have, or a different subtopic that we have in the topic computer hardware, and it talks about processors. Yeah, so there is something that we talked about back then. I told you that there was a wrong or an error that was made on labeling the desktop. Yeah, there is where we had labeled the CPU instead of the system unit. Yeah, so the CPU is actually now what we are talking about, the processor, the central processing unit. I told you that it's a chip. So its function is to receive input and provide the appropriate output. I can round it up or sum it up by saying the processor is the brains of the computer. Yeah, so all the instructions that need to be processed, or all the instructions that need to be executed, are only executed using the processor. Yes, so without the processor, the computer is dumb. Yeah, so they process and execute instructions to give out the output. So we have computer processors that are used for computers. We have other devices that have their different kind of processors. The microwave has its own processor. Our phones have their own processors, and so forth and so forth. So basically what we're supposed to know is that the processor, or the central processing unit, is a chip whose role is to receive input or receive data and provide the accurate output, or the appropriate output, which can also call information. Yeah, so that is the processor. So that is how the processor looks. So the big casing that you see, that is the system unit, but now this is the CPU. So I shouldn't find anybody calling the system unit the CPU. Yeah, this is the CPU. This is how it looks like. It's actually that small. It's very small. It's a chip. This is how it looks like when it is mounted. It looks like this image here, the third image. Yeah, it looks like this image here when it is mounted, when it has been mounted on the motherboard. Yeah, but when before it is mounted, this is how it looks like. Yeah, this is how it looks like. That is the CPU. So I think if we have one of you who is daring enough to open up his or her laptop or the computer, you can locate the the processor. Now we have the random access memory. This is another part of the computer, another hardware. So the processor is a hardware also. So we had talked about the major hardware being the monitor, being the system unit, being the keyboard, and being the mouse. Yeah, those are major parts. But we have other parts that make up the computer hardware. We've talked about one of it already, the processor. The second one is now the random access memory, the RAM. So the RAM is a memory. Yeah, just like the memory card, it's a memory. So it is not it doesn't appear, it doesn't look like the memory card, but you are supposed to know that it's a memory. Yeah, it's a memory device. So what it does is that it temporarily stores all the informations or all the instructions that are being executed by the processor. So all the instructions or all the information that is being executed or that is waiting for execution by the processor is temporarily stored in the random access memory. So its function is majorly to store information or to store data that or store instruction that is currently being executed or that is waiting to be executed by the processor. So that is the function of the random access memory. How it looks like, that is the image of the random access memory. So whenever you come across something like this, know that this is the RAM, yeah, the random access memory, which we are saying is just a temporary memory device used by the computer whenever it is storing information or instructions that are being executed or that are waiting execution by the processor. Now we go to computer storage. That is another subtopic under the topic computer hardware. Yeah. Now computer storage basically talks about the storage devices that we have on our computer system, the storage devices that we have on our computer system. So examples can be the hard disk. Yeah, the hard disk is the primary or the main storage for the computer. That is where all the information stored in the computer is taken, or all the information in the computer is stored, yeah, in the hard disk. I'll show you the image in a minute. We have the flash drives also, or the flash disks. We can have those who call them thumb drives. So these are just devices also that we use to store data or to store information. Then apart from that, we also have memory cards as also storage devices for the computer. Now this is the image of a thumb drive. This first image here on your this is the first image. So it just shows the picture of this one is the thumb drive. Yeah, this is also still the flash drive. These two are flash drives. We have the memory card here. Yeah, memory card. So for you to be able to use the memory card, we must have the memory card adapter. So this is the memory card adapter. So we have the memory card adapter. Then we have the thumb drive here, or the flash disk. We have another flash disk here. Then this one on the right hand side is the hard disk. This is how the hard disk looks like. We've said that it is the major or the main storage device for our computer. So all the information that we have in our computers is stored in the hard disk. Now we can talk about integrated and external equipment. Integrated and external equipment, and we will stop at this because I think the video is long enough. I'd say that I was supposed to take 20 minutes. I don't know how long I've taken. Now we have integrated and external equipment. That is another subtopic of the topic computer hardware. Now when we talk about integrated or external equipment, we're basically talking about all these devices that are not part of the computer, but they can be attached to the computer to make them look as if they are part of the computer. For example, like the keyboard for our desktops, they are not built with the computer. For what do I mean? Unlike the laptop, we had said that with the laptop we have an inbuilt keyboard, but with the desktops the keyboard doesn't come inbuilt. Yeah, so what you have is a keyboard external that has to be attached to the system unit for it to be operational, or for it to be used for inputting data into the computer. So we had said that the keyboard is a device used to type information into the computer, and we also said that the desktop uses the keyboard as its main input device. So we have also mentioned that a laptop comes with an inbuilt keyboard, but it is a separate item if used with a desktop computer. Yeah, so that is the image of the keyboard. Like I said, I don't want to assume that everybody has seen a keyboard though I okay, I don't want to assume that everybody has seen a keyboard. So that is the image of the keyboard. Yeah, we have the letters there depending on what you want to type. We have a bunch of keys which we are going to be talking about in a later video. So apart from that, we have the mouse. Also, when it comes to the laptop, we have an inbuilt pointing device which is called the touchpad. And for desktops we have the mouse, which we use as the navigators. Yeah, we're supposed to use the mouse whenever we want to navigate through the computers. So we're saying that these are devices used as pointing devices for the computer. Yeah, so majorly to navigate through the computer, to point at and select instructions in form of options. Yeah, so for you to be able to create a folder, you have to use the mouse. You can use the keyboard, but you have to use the mouse to create a folder. Yeah, so we are saying that basically we use the mouse to navigate through the computer. Yeah, to point at and select instructions in form of options. So we have the images of the mouse. So on your left we have the mouse. This is a wireless mouse. On your right we have the touchpad on the laptop. Yeah, so with the laptop we don't necessarily have to have a mouse. You can use the touchpad to navigate through your computer, your laptop, that is. So apart from the keyboard and the mouse, we can also have the printers and the scanners as external equipment or as integrated devices. Yeah, so basically the printer is supposed to give us output in form of prints. We've typed something on our computer and we want to print a hard copy format of it. We can use the printer to do that. The scanner, what it does is that it changes the hard copy or the print formats into soft copy. Yeah, into files that we can store on our computers. For maybe you might have your CV in hard copy format, but you want to send it via email. You can scan it so that you have the soft copy format of your CV, so that you can send it over the email. So we are saying that the most common printers used are the inkjet and the laser printer, both of which can produce colored outputs. So we have the laser printer, which is mostly used in offices, while the inkjet printer is most commonly used in homes. And we had said that integrated and external equipment are basically devices that don't come as part of the computers, but can be attached to the computers to serve their purposes. Yeah, so we had mentioned the keyboard for the desktops. We mentioned the mouse for the desktops. Now we are mentioning the printer and the scanner. The images of the printer and the scanner, we have the printers here. This one is the laser printer, which we are saying that is majorly used in office setup. And then we have the inkjet printer, which can also be used either in office setup also, but it can also be used at home. Yeah, so we have one being small in size, we have the other being big in size or large in size. We have the scanner also. This is the image of the scanner. So we had said basically it's supposed to change the hard copy format of your prints into soft copy in case you needed to do that one way or another. Now, for us to be able to attach these integrated devices or these external devices, we must have attachment points. Yeah. Now, in computers or when it comes to computers, these attachment points are what we are calling ports. Yeah. We can use them to attach input devices or output devices. Now, input devices are basically devices that are supposed to take inputs from the user into the computer. So they take data from the user and bring them to the computer. But output devices take information from the computer and bring them to the user. So an example of an input device can be a keyboard, because we use a keyboard to key in instruction to the computer. We can have an input device being maybe a microphone, because a microphone takes my voice and submits it maybe to you now that you're watching it over the YouTube. Yeah, we can have a mouse being an input device, because we can use a mouse to give instructions to the computer. For output devices, we can we had said that output devices basically bring information from the computer to the user. Yeah, so we can have a monitor being an output device. This screen that I'm using, or the screen that you're staring out at right now, is an output device. We can have a projector being an output device. We can have a speaker being an output device. Yeah, because they bring information out of the computer or the device to us as the users. Yeah, so for us to be able I was talking about integrated devices or external devices. So we had said that for you to be able to use it, you must attach it to the computer, but for you to be able to attach it, we must have an attachment point. Yeah, and this attachment point are what we are calling the ports. Yeah, so the common input and output ports that we use, the common input and output attachment points that we use when it comes to the computer, is the USB and the HDMI. Yeah, the USB port is used for attaching devices like the mouse, attaching devices like the keyboard. Yeah, so I'll give you the image of how the USB port looks like, and we also look at the USB symbol, so that whenever you come across a port that has that symbol, you know that this one is a USB port. Yeah, so they are standard cable connection interfaces used by personal computers and other devices. So basically, the USB port is just a port or an attachment point for attaching all USB cable. Yeah, USB devices that come with USB attachments. Nailona. So like a mouse comes with the USB attachment, so you have to attach it to the USB port. The keyboard comes with an USB attachment, so you can attach it to the computer using the USB port. What else? You can even attach your phone to the computer using the USB port. Yeah, so apart from the USB port, we have the HDMI. The HDMI is a port typically used to connect media devices to transfer video and audio. So example, when you're connecting a computer to a monitor, a computer to a monitor, or a computer to a projector, you can use the HDMI. Yeah, sometimes when you want to connect your computer to your screen at home, you can use the HDMI port to do that connection. I'll also be showing you the image for the HDMI port. Now what we have here is this one is the USB port. So most of the time, whenever you are working with a USB port, you'll find this symbol here that is on my right hand side. So that symbol, whenever you see that symbol at a port, you should know that that symbol or that port is a USB port. And then this one is the HDMI port. So for those ports, we usually have just the initials on those ports, HDMI. So whenever you see a port with the initial HDMI, know that that is the point where you're supposed to attach HDMI cables. Yeah, so I think that is the end of my slide, or the end of my video. I don't want to call it a show, so it's the end of my video, and I hope that we will meet on Tuesday with questions for those who have questions for something you've not understood. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, make sure that you prepare the questions, so that you'll be able to ask and I'll be able to answer you. So apart from that, stay safe, you guys, and have a good Ramadan.